What if I were to tell you that the fastest way to grow your coaching or consulting business isn't to reach more people, but in fact to reach fewer? I know that sounds completely backwards, and I was skeptical too, because everything in us is telling us to cast a wider net, to keep our options open, not to limit ourselves. But here's what years of working with coaches and consultants has taught me, and frankly, my own business the hard way. And that is that instinct costs us clients, it costs us revenue, and it can keep us at a revenue plateau. So stay with me here, because by the end, you will see why niching down is the fastest way to grow your revenue and can also allow you to double your prices. And I'm going to prove it with two real stories, including my own. Let's talk about the fear first, because I hear it all the time. Nadine, what if I say no to a client who actually would have worked with me? Or why would I want to leave money on the table? Or if I've spent my entire career being versatile and flexible, and now you're asking me to narrow down? And I want you to hear me clearly when I say this. You didn't get to where you are, whether you're coming out of corporate or legal or medical, by being narrow. You got here by being excellent at a lot of things. So the idea of narrowing your focus feels like shrinking, like giving up. It is very counterintuitive. So here's the shift that I want you to make today. When you try to speak to everyone, your ideal client, that person that you are ideally suited to serve, scrolls past you because it doesn't feel like you are speaking directly to them. They read your bio and they find it interesting, but it doesn't really have them feel the pull to reach out. And because they can't see themselves specifically in your work, they won't pay premium pricing for it. They can't, because they can't see themselves in the transformation that you're offering. Let me take you back more than 20 years. When I started my consulting business, I thought I was niche down. My focus was on Fortune 500 companies in financial services who were struggling with sales, and my offer was sales training. But guess what? I was struggling. Then I made a decision that actually terrified me, and that was to narrow down to a very specific segment within financial services. And it was record keepers of retirement plans. So those are the large insurance company that manage retirement plans for big companies like Walmart, and the deals are in the billions. There's a lot at stake there. And that was it. That was all I was going to focus on. And I remember the fear. I remember thinking about what about all the experience that I have with other businesses within financial services, like wealth management or private banking or corporate finance or commercial lending. I had experience in those areas, and I was going to walk away from that opportunity. But here's what happened. Almost overnight, I became the authority in that niche. When a large insurance company had a deal at stake to be a record keeper, there was one name that they thought of, and that was Nadine Keller. I was able to double my prices almost immediately, and my revenue more than tripled, because I was no longer competing with a bunch of generalists. I was the specialist, and specialists can demand premium pricing. Wiley Publishers even came to me to publish a book, which was unheard of in those days. And all of that happened not because I was working harder or because I cast a wider net, but really because I was able to focus in on my ideal client, and they could see themselves in me. They could see the transformation that they were looking for. They could see that I could solve their very specific problem. Now, that was my story, and you could think, well, maybe it was a fluke, or maybe it worked 20 years ago, but not today. So let me tell you about a client of mine in the Precision Sales Accelerator. Her name is Chrissy, and when Chrissy came to us, as she said, her words, not mine, she was all over the place. She was offering digital marketing services to large companies, small businesses, coaches, consultants across all industries. She was working round the clock, she was exhausted, and her revenue had flatlined. Through the program, Chrissy did something very uncomfortable. She got specific. She stopped trying to be everything to everyone, and she focused on one client that she was uniquely qualified to serve. And that is coaches and consultants who are building their business business and they need a VA to help them with social media services. That's it. That's her one client, her one niche, her one focus. And once she could speak directly to that client and very specifically talk about the challenges that the client is currently facing, what the transformation is and their desire looks like, and those challenges in between, everything changed. Chrissy doubled her revenue in under a year. She went from 100,000 to 200,000. And with that newfound confidence and a strategic foundation, she is on track to triple her revenue this year. And if Chrissy's story is resonating with you and you're thinking, gosh, I'd like to be on the other end of Chrissy's story, however, I'm really challenged with the niching part, schedule a call with me and we can take a look at your ideal client and see if we can dial it in a bit. But for now, I'm going to share with you the exact framework that I use with Chrissy and others in my program. So how do we actually do this? Well, here's the simple framework I use with my clients. The clients inside the accelerator are all very accomplished women with 15 to 40 years of experience, and they have done a lot of different things. So the first place that we begin is really with a self-reflective exercise that has them reflect back on their career and even outside of the career to get them thinking about what has really lit them up. Who is it that they have loved working with? What projects do they love to do? And the opposite of that they don't love and who they don't love to work with. I often say that your niche finds you versus you finding your niche. And the first place to start is this self-reflective exercise to really see what bubbles up. And then ask yourself, if you could only serve one specific type of person and help them with one specific problem, what would that problem be and how would you solve it? And don't overthink this. Usually the first things that come up is actually where your expertise lives. Step 2 is what I call the mirror test. And what I want you to do is write out the current state of your ideal client. What are their frustrations, their challenges, the bottlenecks? What are they really frustrated with? Then what I want you to do is go to the transformative state. And what are they looking for? What is their ideal scenario, situation? And write that out. Then write what are all of the things that are in between their current state and their ideal state. Then what I want you to do is read that through from your ideal client's perspective. And if you think her response to that would be, oh my gosh, that is so me, I see myself in that, you've nailed it. If, however, she says, that could really be pretty much for anybody, go back and do the exercise again and see if you can narrow it down. Step 3, raise your price. And this is the one that surprises most people. First of all, you're probably underpricing yourself as it is. Most women are. But when we niche down, we should actually raise our price because we can help our clients get the transformation that they're looking for faster and with more precision, and that demands premium pricing. You become the expert. You know exactly how to help them. You have seen this time and time again. Specialists charge specialist rates, and they're worth it. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. Niching down is not saying no to opportunity. It's about saying yes. It's about saying yes to the right client. It's about saying yes to premium pricing. It is about saying yes to being the undeniable authority in your niche. The coaches and consultants who want to serve everyone, they're the ones who are invisible to the ideal clients that they want to serve. Those that get specific are magnetic. If you've watched this and you're still thinking, geez, I don't know if I have the courage to niche, or maybe you don't know exactly how to do it or have some questions left in your mind, schedule a call with me. I keep a couple of slots open a month to have conversations with accomplished women coaches and consultants to help them do things like the tough stuff, right? The niching down. Also, if you haven't already, take a look at the 5 sales bottlenecks video because chances are it's not just your niche that may be causing a leaky pipeline. And I will see you on the next one.